Say, while we're looking, I just have to mention, if you haven't looked at our website lately, there's been a lot of work done to update that and show you a lot of resources there of things that we're doing. So make sure you take a look at our website if you haven't looked at it lately.
Definitely, yeah. I think Sean summed it up really well. This section of the meeting is essentially just to highlight the accomplishments that Access Humboldt has had in these different areas over the past year and also since the pandemic started, because of course there were a lot of challenges as well as opportunities that came up. And I think that we should definitely celebrate the ways that Access Humboldt has adapted to that in a lot of different areas. So we have some guest speakers here in these different 5 categories. Cool. All right, the first is Sean with Public Health and Safety.
Well, you know, we've been talking about this since before the pandemic, but it sort of got proven by the pandemic that we need to have vehicles, outlets, channels, methods for public information to be shared from reliable sources. And I don't think it was till the pandemic that anybody thought the public health office was going to have a regular weekly press conference and need to inform everybody of the latest statistics, and obviously the sheriff's involvement with that. So in terms of programming, we got to get more involved with that, and you'll see that in this clip. But I think the other thing that is baked into the way that we operate is we've always imagined that we needed to be prepared to support essential information during disasters, sort of before, during, and after disasters. So what does it take to do that? And we've made some progress in terms of, we got a new generator funded through the Measure Z funding from the county that helps us keep the radio station up and on the air. And I think one thing we recognize is that radio ends up being a very important, different way to reach people. If your power is out and you don't have internet access, you might still have a battery powered radio that can get a signal over the air. And our work, not only delivering that, but helping every other agency get the information they need, has been part of our focus. I think there's a little clip that sort of shows some examples of some of the work that we've done, and we'll roll on into the next one.
Can you hear it?
We did for a second.
Also to the partners who are making this broadcast available tonight. Humboldt Access, of course, is broadcasting this live on the Suddenlink Channel 10 up in Humboldt County.
The surge, and what's next for Humboldt County. Our goal is to provide you, the residents of Humboldt County, with the most up-to-date information regarding the state and local response to COVID-19. Our hope for tonight is that you will be informed and empowered to continue helping protect our county from this virus.
Bienvenidos todos, esto es su programa Radio Centro.
Bienvenidos todos, estamos aquí en Radio Centro. Esta es la radio en español para la comunidad indígena inmigrante en territorio indígena Guía.
You know, it seems like we've been on a really long road with COVID, and it's hard to believe it's actually just been about 3 months since we actually started talking about it here in the United States. The community's response to COVID has taken a whole lot of effort and sacrifice on everyone's part.
And I do want to direct people to our website, which is humboldtgov.org. It's all the latest information there. This tab is going to be expanding to provide more information and more guidance about how you get your business in compliance, you know, per the governor's orders and per our county guidelines, so you can open your doors.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. And we want to hear what you feel the state of human rights are in Humboldt County and issues that we need to focus on for the next year.
Hello and welcome to Access Humboldt's Community Voices. I'm Paul Brasou. This is the first live interview in studio in 14 months.
CSET's a progressive, non-traditional law enforcement unit that focuses on issues of homelessness, mental illness and addiction, and also just things like trauma. And so we're looking at the surface outcomes of what we're seeing from behaviors, and we're peeling back the onion peel a little bit and looking at what's causing this behavior and trying to address those also.
Excellent. And we'll get to that, but talk to me about progressive, non-traditional law enforcement agencies.
So this is more of looking at individuals really as individuals and building that personal connection. It also leads us towards services such as if you're homeless, you're on the street, you're looking for housing, or you're addicted, or you have mental health problems. That opens the door for us to get you services to make you better, to make the whole community better.
And next we have Civic Engagement by Molly. So Molly, you can go ahead and give your speech.
You need to unmute, Molly.
Generally, I usually unmute myself. I was so excited about this, I totally forgot. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be asked to provide this little introduction to the Civic Engagement video. Civic engagement means working to improve the quality of life, the social health, if you will, of our community in ways both political and non-political. A major goal of Access Humboldt is to provide citizens with up-to-date and archived information from a broad array of civic institutions, as you've heard already from Sean's remarks and the first video. Access Humboldt provides video services and tech support to, and also live streams, many local public meetings from city councils, the Board of Supervisors, to many public commissions speaking for the county and its municipalities. Always in a rigorously nonpartisan way, too, I might add, through its public access cable channel on the internet and through KZZH. Access Humboldt transmits the voices of a diverse group of people from organizations dedicated to enhancing the social health of our area. I serve on the Access Humboldt Board of Directors as the liaison from the League of Women Voters of Humboldt County, holding one of those 8 designated spots that Libby mentioned that are on the board, designed to guarantee a broad representation from key advocates of civic engagement. The League, too, is committed to nonpartisan civic engagement, and we have collaborated for many years, the League has, with Access Humboldt in providing voters with information on ballot measures, changes in voting procedure, which were a big deal, of course, in 2020 in particular, and those were done in English, Spanish, and Hmong, and through our local candidate forums, always available through Access Humboldt in archive form as well. By the people, for the people is much more than a slogan at Access Humboldt. This is a local information organization producing things for and by local people. Access Humboldt stands as a champion of civic engagement pathways, some of which you'll see showcased in the next short video. Thank you.
Beautifully said, Molly. Thank you so much. And here we are.
Since the last annual report, the Transportation Safety Committee has met 11 times via Zoom. Key tasks included receiving and responding to public comments, among other items.
And in accordance with Executive Order N-29-20, the Planning Commission meeting will be held virtually.
Everybody in the audience, we're going to start with a roll call, please.
Regular virtual meeting of the Rio Dell City Council.
Today we'll be presenting the logic and accuracy test for the California gubernatorial recall election on September 14th, 2021.
All right, and next we have Greg with the Economic Development section.
Good afternoon. I'm Greg Foster. I'm the treasurer of the board of directors. I'm also executive director of the Redwood Region Economic Development Commission. And economic development, if done right, is about creating conditions for economic opportunity for everyone. It's not just about business development in and of itself or access to resources to large organizations. And so it's really important then that folks know what's going on in economic development. And I have to say I had a little deja vu and PTSD maybe with the earlier clip with me sitting in my dining room on Jared's town hall. So I'm a little flustered by that. Remember that was back in April, and I think we were like, oh well, we're going to be doing this for a month or two, aren't we? And here we are a year and a half later. So you know, really what Molly was talking about and what economic development is about really are linked together, because economic development really is driven by policy. So while organizations like ours do a lot of the work, the grunt work of economic development, it's really the policy and strategy direction set by our elected officials that drives what we do. And so it's really important to have everyone engaged in that and seeing what's going on. And of course, right now, unlike any other time really in our history in Humboldt County, we have an amazing amount of investment flowing into our community that's creating a lot of economic growth, whether it's $500 million for the Humboldt State University or $500 million for the Nordic Aqua Farms or the $7 billion Google fiber that's getting ready to be pulled out. And so we have a lot of issues there, and all of those require public discussion, a lot of public permitting and all that. So and this is a great way to Access Humboldt is a great way for people to be able to participate and hear what's going on. I work a lot with the media, and it's funny how many of them now, because of the way that public meetings work, the sort of traditional media, are now watching all these meetings via public access and via Access Humboldt. So that's is important. You know, policy should not ever be made in a vacuum or behind closed doors, and that includes economic development as well. But beyond that sort of more policy thing, I think one of the things that Access Humboldt does really well with Sean in particular is the advocacy for broadband deployment. And that includes also just a lot of education about what broadband brings in terms of economic development and economic opportunity and access to a lot of folks. And so I could go and talk hours about this. I won't. But you know, education is one of the best things you can do to help people participate in the economy. And of course, we're big in that. And then just the plain old infrastructure is really important. And there's a lot of work and advocacy being done around that, and at the policy level, at the state and local level. So it's kind of exciting stuff. It's not what people often think traditionally is economic development, but economic development is not necessarily a traditional thing. It's something that changes and evolves over time and really requires a lot of public access. I didn't want to say that because it's like, oh, that's what we do. And I was trying to think of a different word, but that didn't work. So anyway, thank you. And I look forward, I'm down to my 2 minutes, and let's look at our video.
Thanks so much, Greg. Here we are.
Discussions around planning for offshore wind development have been active for more than 5 years. We are now in the precipice of moving from the planning stage to the leasing and project development stage. The Coastal Commission plays an important role in this process, and the purpose of today's briefing is to educate commissioners and the public on how the regulatory review process for offshore wind will work in preparation for those upcoming regulatory decisions.
Well, welcome everyone to 2021 Virtual Trail Summit. You're joining other trail enthusiasts through Zoom and Access Humboldt's Channel 8 and Facebook Live through the Humboldt Trails Council's webpage.
The Little River Trail will ultimately connect Scenic Drive in West Haven to Clam Beach Drive, completing a significant gap in the California Coastal Trail. This non-motorized trail will be separated from, but parallel to Highway 101.
All right, and now we have Libby for Culture and Arts.
Thank you. I want to start off by saying that Access Humboldt has been a part of, well, and before Access Humboldt, a part of the Inc. people, of which I'm executive director. for many, many, many years. And it's very important because for me, the arts are really about the ability to portray things as different people see them. It's about free speech, and it's about making our community a better place and through the arts and culture. Access Humboldt has worked hard over the years to be able to caption in other languages, I think, which is a really important part of being accessible. And this community is so rich in arts and culture that we ought to have a lot more on Access Humboldt. And I think it's important to really prod our community artists to take advantage of this amazing medium, and the fact that it goes into the Internet Archive and will live forever, which is a lot of the arts are in a moment in time, performing arts, music. So this is, I think, because of the pandemic, a lot of artists have started, and arts organizations have started recording and doing things digitally. And so I think this may be the beginning of a broader embrace of the arts for Access Humboldt. And Brianna has a wonderful video for us to watch.
Great, thank you, Libby. Oh, and we didn't get to see this photo, but this is Libby.
I am the Administrative Director for Young People Center for the Arts. We are the City of Eureka's official arts nonprofit. We really support and promote art and culture projects throughout the county and even beyond, the counties that surround us as well. We like to say that, when you look out the window and you see murals and you see the art benches on the trails and, public sculpture and things like that, we probably had something to do with that.
How do you do that? How do you support that?
We've got this really, really great program called the Dream Maker program. Folks come to us typically with an art or culture idea that they want to have happen. Creating a nonprofit is an expensive and lengthy process. And if they come to us with their idea, we can bring them in as a dream maker, which makes them part of the Ink people. There's so many. We've got more than 100 active dream makers, and they get to do the good community work. And we take care of all the admin side of things.
I am one of the organizers of the Eureka Street Art Festival, and we have been going for 4 years. We just completed our 4th annual festival. There's 3 of us who organize it, myself, Swan Asbury, and Michelle Cartledge. Just the idea of doing something for the week that brings people together, but then also exists after that.
Do you start walking around and looking for spaces, blank walls, blank canvases around the city in which to put these murals?
Yeah, so every year so far, we've really focused on a specific geographical area of the city, and that has really been what's tied it together. And once we kind of choose that zone, we walk around and we start thinking about the potential of walls, and we start talking to the property owners.
Mer, how did you get involved in it?
Well, I actually applied and didn't get in the first time I applied. I was fortunate that, with COVID, it was hard bringing artists from out of the area. So we had a sort of wonderful moment where we were showcasing local artists, and that's where I snuck in there.
Something we've thought about as we've had more and more years of this under our belt is how do we help the artists who've never done this before? How do we help them transition more into mural artists? Because there's a market for it. People can make money. And a big part of what we want to do is help lift up our local community of artists and help them get more paying jobs.
Everyone, welcome to Gateway to Zen. This is Tea Program number 2 of 4, hosted by the Clark Museum.
So this is called Dirge to Robin's Song. This morning there is a robin singing just outside the window in the sun-drenched garden. She knows nothing of the headlines, the bad news, the 20 years of war we have fought in Afghanistan, the thousands of dead, both friend and foe. She knows nothing about the pandemic nor the 2.62 million souls who have perished. Yet she sings. She sings with a boldness that I can do nothing but admire. Her trills are magical. They lift the heaviness of my soul. The warming sunlight lifts steam off the fences, off the leaves of the pepperwood tree, which shine pearlescent through the mist. The robin's song warms my tears, which fall almost unnoticed, except for you, who may, if you choose, catch these droplets in the sweetness of the robin's enraptured singing. Do with them what you will.
All right. Next, we have education and training, and we'll start off with Rob talking about the connection between Access Humboldt and Eureka High.
Brianna, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Look, to me, Access Humboldt
You're kind
is.
of cutting. There's some interference or something.
Mic problems. Is that better?
That's much better. Awesome.
You know, to me, Access Humboldt is all about education. So it's like permeates everything that Access Humboldt does. It brings us together. It helps us communicate with each other. It engages us civically. It helps us learn how to advocate for ourselves and our community. And it puts citizens on an equal footing with big corporations in having a voice. And all that kind of ties in with education. On a Eureka High School level, we've had over the years a connection with Access Humboldt with our students, where they are able to learn more on their media production class on production techniques and news gathering through the induction program that Access Humboldt offers to people. And our students get certified to use Access Humboldt equipment, and then they can put that together in the projects they make. And then they get to share those products with the community through the Access Humboldt broadcasting. So it's a one connection and partnership between the two organizations, and we really are proud to be a part of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now we'll go on to Matt.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, wasn't sure if that was going to work. I just want to jump in here quickly before I go to classes and education and just thank some people that really have been huge, and especially for the radio station, just by name. Nate Dogg and David Frank, who produce tons and tons and tons of content for KZZH and for the channels. Izzy Vanderheiden, who is our community calendar reader, who puts up with me on a weekly basis and reads the community calendar for everybody. Paul Bersu, if you saw a bunch in this presentations, who is the Community Voices host, former Eureka High School teacher, just amazing. And then from Central Del Pueblo, of course, Brenda Perez, Karen Villa, North Coast Journal, Thad and Jen, and Eric Kirk and Aaron Donaldson, who do Redwood Wonk, and just the many, many community members who produce programming on a regular basis for KZZH and for Access Humboldt. I'm constantly amazed. I'm always want more, but but I'm just a big thank you should go out to all of those people. Then just classes is pretty thin on the ground. We have been closed for 18 months, pretty much. Limited opening back up, but in the last 45 days, we've given classes for North Coast Prep, Native American Partners, Native American Pathways, I'm sorry, Tri-County Independent Living, and we've got one scheduled for DHHS Youth Services. So we're back in the business of doing training. So I think that knocks out my 2 minutes right there.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the relationship between Mars Project and Access Humboldt. So Jay from the Mars Project unfortunately can't be here tonight because the Mars Project has a benefit. So they are double booked, but he wishes he could be here. And for those of you who don't know, Mars is a drop-in program for youth who are aged 12 to 26, and they offer workshops and mentors in both digital arts and music. So they are the core youth program of the Ink People. And over the past year, Access Humboldt's relationship with them has strengthened, and we've collaborated mainly through Access Humboldt's grant-funded youth initiative. And so that's manifested through several live streams that we hosted together. And were educational, covering topics of film pre-production and script writing, film production, film equipment on a budget, live streaming, things like that. And we also hosted several workshops together. And probably the biggest project that came as a collaboration between Mars Project and Access Humboldt was the Access production. So essentially a handful of high school students approached the Mars Project with a film idea. And over this last summer, both Access Humboldt and the Mars Project act as a supervisor for the film students from pre-production to post-production. So that was a pretty awesome accomplishment, and I'm very excited for the future strengthening of our relationship going forward. And I just wanted to also highlight a few other projects that have been going on this year. One of them is Access Class series. And so I essentially have kind of created almost like a masterclass series of these short educational videos that feature experts in a variety of creative fields, essentially explaining different concepts on an intro level, beginner level videos in those various fields. And so that series, there's over 20 of them up on our YouTube channel, are for everyone. That was kind of the idea of them. And so that's something we've been working on, as well as our member meetings. So since the pandemic started, Matt had the idea to have these weekly member check-ins, because I think we definitely missed out on a lot of the in-person connection when the CMC closed and we weren't able to, just connect with other people in that physical way. It's really easy to get out of touch. And so we had this weekly space for members to join, keep up to date with what's going on, any projects that are happening. And over the summer, that developed into what we called a special member meeting. So essentially, we had special guests who were local figures in also a variety of artistic fields. So for example, we had Corey Goldman from the Mars Project come and talk about audio techniques. And that was really cool, just seeing the direct impact it had on the members, because we had one participant who was planning to film a wedding in the next few weeks. He had never done it before, and Corey was able to give him personalized advice based on the equipment he would have of, how he should approach that. And there were other guests we had, such as the Del Arte alumni who came in to talk about techniques in melodrama. So that was a really fun summer project that we had. Cool, and here's a video.
Aloha. We have been doing the Humboldt County Children's Author Festival since the 70s, and we have 25 authors come to visit approximately 60 schools in Humboldt County to visit the students, the teachers, We have book sale, we have many opportunities for the community to come meet them. And this has been a wonderful experience for many years.
I mean, a lot of it really does come down to just building rapport, especially when you're so focused on that one question, that key question you want to ask. You know, you don't want to exhibit bias in any way, but what you could do is ask very simple questions. And really it is a conversation when you are doing that interview. And the more that it feels like one, and the more that it feels like there is a human ear that's listening to you and not just a mic, I think that makes the biggest difference.
If you're recording for something for video and you are looking to capture ambiance instead of like one person talking, you might use something like a field recorder like this one.
So what about a novel makes it a novel? What about a movie makes it a movie? What about a theater performance makes it a theater performance? And what is unique and specifically those things? So an example would be, the cool thing about a novel is that you get to be inside of the character's head, right? So the thing that makes live theater amazing and beautiful is that it's live and you are in the living presence. So if you're going to take something that was live theater and you're going to translate it to a new form, you have to understand that what you're doing is you're translating it to a new form. So you should take advantage of what the new form has to offer.
Each form is its own form for a reason. So in order to honor an original piece of art in a new form, you have to change it a little bit. And if you don't change the art itself, you do change the lens in which we see it.
And really, that's my best advice to anyone doing a podcast. Always hit record.
A couple other things you want to keep in mind is to know your audience.
And if any of you are interested in starting a podcast, feel free to reach out. Both of them super helpful and supportive. So thanks so much for everyone who joined us today. And stay tuned, stay engaged with Access Humboldt. We're going to have some cool events coming up. But this concludes our special member meetings for the summer. So thanks so much for your engagement.
Guys, welcome back to my fifth and, sad to say, final class of my series on lighting. And today we're going to talk about one of the most difficult situations for any filmmaker to shoot in, and that is day exterior. While shooting outdoors in the day, you are commonly shooting in one of these two scenarios: overcast and sunny. On an overcast day, thankfully it is a little easier to shoot in because the clouds act as a natural softbox and help eliminate unwanted shadows. However, on a sunny day, the sun can cast some pretty unwanted harsh shadows. For this situation, there are many quick and easy techniques to help you improve your lighting, and you can do it all with a tool called a 5-in-1 reflector. To bounce light, place your subjects so the sun is shining on them from behind. Then, use the white side of your reflector to bounce light onto your subject like a mirror. This helps fill in the shadow side of your subject with soft light. To diffuse light, take off the cover of your reflector to reveal the transparent fabric. Then, put it between the sun and your subject to diffuse and soften the light. Another handy trick that you can do is to cut light. Do this by using the black side of your reflector, also called the negative fill. Place this close to your subject to cut the light and add contrast to the face. Remember, when shooting in the day, the sun is going to move a lot faster than you think, so always keep lighting continuity in mind. It's really nice to have one of these, but remember, if you can't get one, there are so many other options and alternatives that you can find probably around your house to create the same thing. Guys, that is all I have for you today. But I hope these tutorials have helped you grasp a better understanding of lighting and can help you as future filmmakers. Good luck and happy shooting.
All right. I don't know why my escape button is not working. Okay, cool.
Thank you, Brianna. That was wonderful.
Yeah, of course. All right, and now Mo's going to speak a little bit about the Redwoods listening posts.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So hello, everyone. My name is Mo Harper Desir. I'm a staff member at Access. The Redwood Listening Post, or RLP, like we like to call it, is a program of Access Humboldt and a member of the Community Voices Coalition, providing distribution and translation services. It's in a partnership with Internews. Redwoods Listening Post assists with coalition organizing efforts, establishes new partnerships with underrepresented groups, and provides resource grants / stipends for local media curation in relation to the community and COVID-19. Those involved in RLP have access to our services, internewses, editors on call, production training and support, equipment, translation, and distribution. The project is managed by an editorial team made up of Humboldt County community members, staff from Access Humboldt and Internews, as well as story grantee representatives. RLP brings forward new perspectives and accurate, insightful coverage of local issues. The project aims to support underserved and marginalized communities to identify and help address local issues and challenges. With help from local storytellers and community leaders, we help identify and urge local solutions to the challenges brought about by the pandemic. Through this project, we have been able to receive funds from Humboldt Area Foundation, Cal Endowment, and the Wild Rivers Community Foundation. We have also been able to create community partnerships with El Lenador, the student-run editorial featuring local news in English and Spanish, Redwood Voice out of Del Norte, Native American Pathways from HUPA, the Mars Project from Inc. People Center for the Arts, the Community Redwoods Report podcast, which is created by some local radio personnel. And through these partnerships, we hope to bring multimedia coverage of communities' needs when they need them the most. Through this ongoing project, we hope to foster and support healthy communities with an emphasis on public health and safety through the sharing of information and a battle against misinformation. Civic engagement through access to democracy, economic development through paid opportunities for content creation and content sharing, culture and arts as we reach to support disenfranchised, underrepresented communities of the North Coast, and through education and training opportunities like the trainings that Access Humboldt provides, our Access class, or full youth hands-on productions like Brianna was talking about. You can find out more about the project or find ways to get involved by checking out our webpage at accesshumboldt.net and following us on social media at the Redwoods Listening Post. And that's about it, a quick little summary.
Awesome, thanks, Mo.
All right, thank you, everybody. That was really great. Hope it was worth sticking around for.